So this reminder and let's.
Hi, Lynette.
Hi there, Jen. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Trying not to be outside.
Yeah, it's coming down. I can't
It
believe
is.
it.
It is.
I looked up your suggestions for the minutes,
Mhm.
and let me find it. I listened again to the motion for the construction engineering services,
Yeah.
and I didn't hear an amount mentioned in there.
Okay.
But I did change about how you had said, but the safe build agreement
Right.
and saying the fee proposal was lowered, that they were collecting a smaller percentage of the fees
Right.
for
Okay.
so I changed that part.
Cool. Okay.
And then what else? You got the comments, I guess, right? The public comments for tonight?
I did. Yes.
Okay. The only thing I think that wasn't in there was the email that Smokey referred to, and I can pull that up and I can show it to you right now.
I got the email from him.
Oh, okay, so you saw the email that he referred to. I think it was from the train. Okay, cool.
Well, and that was a little on the confusing side because Mark Graybill signed the letter that he was not in favor of continuing with the 6th Street pedestrian mall, and then his email states kind of otherwise. It's like, okay, you're on the fence here.
Yeah, okay, I hear you.
So, and I just couldn't tell. It looked like we all got the Smokey's email.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. So 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jen?
Yeah?
So I was trying to make a list of either the businesses that we've gotten positive feedback from, or the ones that had no comment that we have heard yet, that are actually on 6th Street. And there are so many new ones, and I don't know that I can't connect names to actual storefronts.
Yeah.
But I came up with the ones that we had no comment from yet were the Rock Shop, Hotel de Paris, that Evergreen Co-op Gallery right next to Town Hall,
Mm-hmm.
The Georgetown Co-op Gallery down in, just off of the atrium in
Mm-hmm.
Abrahamson's building, Santa Fe Trail, and Ophelia's. Can,
What about, oh, Lucha sign, did Lucha sign it? Yeah, he did.
yeah,
Okay.
Lucha signs, I don't understand, but
Yeah. Um, My Lovely Company, I don't see her. I would think she'd be for it. I mean, she decorated it down there, but she would be one, I guess. And
and whereabouts is she?
she's right next to like the bank, kind of like in Ken
Oh,
Nelson's
okay,
old, yeah.
okay,
I mean, we did get positive from Dana and
right,
Grizzly Creek. You saw that, yeah.
right.
What else? The library, I guess, but I don't know.
I'm not putting them in the same, I mean, there's not a retail component
True.
there other than book sales.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Sounds like, yeah, sounds like you got them all. I can't think of another.
okay, cool. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Sure.
Move it around the corner. Or Mhm.
Howdy, Lynette.
Hi there.
I have hat hair, so
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. We're all getting it.
is this better with the audio?
Yeah,
With the
seems to
speaker?
be.
Okay.
Seems to be. Hi there,
Hey,
Rob.
Ken. Can I get a large fry and also a biggie drink?
Keep
Sure.
driving, keep driving.
It'll have to wait 2 hours, but you know, hey.
That's right. If you see the Nisel House, go by Town Hall. Just looking for the drive-through. Hey, Lynette,
Yes.
do you mind if I give you a call, like off the record?
My home number's in the phone book. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
569-2909.
No, just nothing more than, I just wanted to, I wanted to ask a question and,
Outside of a public meeting, sure.
yeah, is that
Perfectly
okay?
fine. Sure.
I don't want to do anything illegal.
You're not.
Yeah. Okay.
Some things are better discussed outside of public meetings.
Right. Yeah.
When it's just two people, you can't make a decision. It's a chat. Yes.
No, it's like you've got infinitely more experience at this than I do, and sometimes I get sometimes there's like just situations that
Sure.
up in normal being a citizen, and I
Mhm.
wondered, what's the best way to react? What's the
Sure,
best
sure.
way?
No problem.
We did get a lot of interest in opening up 6th Street. I'm sure you've gotten the
Oh,
copy.
yeah. We're talking about it tonight.
Right. No, I would imagine we would have a lot of people listening in.
We shall see. Mhm.
Well, the other thing I wondered is, I just wondered if Keith got the same communication that I got. They said that,
It was all of that stuff. Jen sent everything that was received to all of the selectmen. So
got it. Okay.
it's up to everybody to tune in.
Got it.
Yeah, when the
Although
agenda. What?
I wish they'd send it before the day of, but
Well, that's true, but when the agenda comes out on Friday and then you've got a holiday weekend, I can see why sometimes your little fingers don't get tapping the keys until right
yeah.
before the meeting. Were you able to catch any of the music over the weekend?
Yeah, no, it was great. We went down to Lucha's just while Gary and Ann were setting up, and then what did we do? We went to the where? Happy Cooker. Went to the Happy Cooker, then walked home, and then literally could just listen to it on our front porch.
Ah, nice.
It's
nice.
pretty cool. But it was good. And then I guess somebody Anne Marie Cannon took a video of the musicians downtown, and it looked like they were having a ball.
Marvelous. Yeah.
Right. I thought it was a real good.
Mhm.
It was a good showing.
Yeah.
It looked fun.
I caught it on Saturday afternoon. I didn't head downtown yesterday afternoon.
We were there Saturday.
Huh.
There wasn't any music Saturday.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, there was? Oh,
Yeah.
then were we there Saturday?
It was a singer-songwriter duo,
That missed it. Yeah.
Bettman and I can't remember the guy's name.
We went during the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were good.
Nice.
They were very good.
No, good. I love seeing that downtown. That's really good. I don't know if you're friends with Anne Marie Cannon on Facebook, but she had a nice video of
Who's got time to go on Facebook?
Ryan.
Not me lately.
You're smart.
No, I'd like to get on there a little bit more, but yeah. So, well, cool.
Yeah. And then and she's doing it's kind of interesting. We bumped into her while we were waiting for our table at the Happy Cooker, and she's doing a podcast and it's a history podcast. She had Frank Young on there talking about homesteading,
Oh,
and it was really interesting. It's great to hear Frank's Maine accent, but above that, he has some real good, he knows his stuff, and it's really
yes,
interesting
he does.
to listen to him.
Yeah.
She's also looking for guests. So if you've got like a story about Georgetown that's kind of cool, that is kind of rare, she'd love to hear it.
Okay. Okay.
But bumped into her, found out that was going on. That sounded fun. We listened to a couple of her. We listened to the Frank Young one. She's got about 20.
Okay, good.
She's taken that, I guess, it was the Flipping Flea,
Hmm.
kind of a consignment shop, and turned it into the Belgian Rabbit Productions. It's now a sound studio.
Ah, marvelous.
And I
love
said,
it. I
if
love
you get
it.
some infrastructure, maybe you could, get some guest podcast people in there that don't have a studio and rent it out and, sort of be a mecca for folks in the mountain that want to continue a podcast or improve their recording.
Cool, cool. Yes.
Just stuff like that was us on Sunday.
Okay.
And then how about that smoke though?
Oh,
That was
it did seem to get better over the day yesterday. Towards
Right.
evening, it wasn't quite so bad, but yeah, it had me coughing and hacking in the morning.
are you sensitive to it? That sucks.
It just, gets the sinuses irritated and the eyes go itchy and
Sure.
yeah.
No, I know.
So,
It's
and I'm not nearly as sensitive as some people I know.
Oh.
It's like they cannot breathe.
that sucks.
It can get really bad.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I was astounded at how thick the smoke was with the fire being so far away, but I think it was just the prevailing winds.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I guess it was actually possibly worse down in the Denver area because they were actually getting the ash fallout.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
At that point, even if it's snow coming and you're not really ready for winter, you really want something to take that stuff out of the air, cool things down.
Oh
So
no, it's a great thing considering the the fire hazard that we're living in. But I think that what was it? I think I saw a map that just had fire, freeze, fire.
Mm,
It just struck me as funny as this whole climate thing is climate change is a hoax. I mean, really, if you've got a forecast that involves a winter storm warning and forest fire smoke combined,
yeah, I know. And drought and you name it.
oh, wow, yeah, it's I walk a tightrope every January through May because we have to balance the water in Empire so that we don't have to use an alternate source.
Mhm, mhm.
Source is really poor. So trying to stretch Mad Creek,
Yeah, I know.
it's a delicate dance.
Mhm. Yeah.
But after May, that's when everything starts running off, and we're in good shape.
Mhm.
Boy, Mad Creek is kind of fun to watch if you go up there during the peak. It's extremely violent.
Hmm.
But
She's in and out. She's not staying around for the wave.
No, it keeps kicking my video off, but
I
I'm
see
here.
that.
I waved back, Kent, but it just didn't,
Mm,
The same thing is true for me, Mary. You can hear me, I think, right? But
yes.
Yeah.
yeah, we just can't
can't
see you.
see me.
It's like I
You gotta
can't-
make your letters do something, your letters wave.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hmm.
You can't
I-
see
I-
me, I'm not here.
That's right.
I
Mm.
promised I did comb my hair. I see that Rob combed his too.
Yes. You can, no, but I let my sideburns go. Can you tell?
Uh,
I know, I know. I know, I'm bringing back the pork chop, but it'll be probably like 6 months before you can actually tell.
Well, we'll stand by.
Please don't hold your
Okay.
breath.
I just got dropped, I think.
No,
No,
you're still
you're
there.
still here.
You're still there.
You're still
My,
here.
my whole screen went blank. You hear me, but
Ah,
I can't see anything now. That's
Maybe
odd.
it's the snow.
I guess. I think I'm gonna drop out and log back in, see if that
Okay.
fixes this.
there's plenty of time for that.
Okay.
Hmm.
It looks like 70 is still closed as I gaze out my window.
Really?
I hadn't heard that it was closed.
No,
Oh,
me neither.
okay,
I'm here up
Getting
to
a-
the tunnel.
okay.
Yeah,
Really?
they're inching by, but they might be inching through the roundabout, so it's,
Okay.
Earth had passed, was closed this morning. I was met in Empire by a state trooper that said that, I guess right there at the first switchback, there was about a 7-car pileup.
Oof.
oops.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's and then, and that was closed for hours. But that was first thing in the morning. Oh, yeah, look at that. Doesn't- It's from here to the tunnel.
Good thing we're all zooming instead of driving in it, right?
That's what I thought. Hi there, Keith.
At first glance, I thought he had one of those brocade like smoker jackets on.
That's totally what I thought he was
Then I
wearing.
realized it was suspenders over the flannel shirt.
So, so remember, I do have a PhD.
Yes.
Her name's Norma?
What?
Her name's Norma?
She has one too. Mine's better. Oops. I don't know where you went.
I'm just dancing around. I
Shit.
presume the phone is Tim?
Tim here.
All right. Good to hear your voice. And hi there, Paul.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Paul. Who is Colorado Mountain Lady? She's one of our attendees tonight. I noticed she was on our work session last week too.
How
Do
do
we know?
you see those?
So if you go
I'm
under,
not sure.
you go to participants down at the bottom of your screen,
Yes.
and then then when you click on it, you see panelists, which is,
Oh, okay. I see.
and then you can see attendees,
There we go.
Thanks. I've been missing out.
but it would be.
And then you could also put the chat right below it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So looks like we're getting very close. And we've got all 6. So
Thank you, Colorado Mountain Lady. It's Deanne Powell.
I see.
Thank you.
And I think Kent's on his way up the stairs to get a view of the flag.
Okay.
So
We could
we'll wait
hold
for him
one
to
up
get
in front of
there.
us, you know.
Ken, you could do like an episode of This Old House. This Old Town Hall.
Kind of like a tour, a walking
Right?
tour.
There you go.
And on my left is the cop shop.
And over here,
Okay, we've got the Colorado flag and he's pointing to the Hotel de Paris. And
Jennifer, did you notice on the chat about one of the attendees wants to talk
Yes.
later? Okay.
okay,
Thank you.
so we have a view of the flag. So, and it is 6:01 p.m. on Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. So I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Georgetown to order. Could you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
Of the
States of
United
America
States of America.
and to
To the
To the
republic
republic
for which it
for which
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. I am Lynette Kelsey, Police Judge. Rob Connell,
Here.
Keith Holmes,
Here.
John Jennings,
Here.
Paul Hingen,
Here.
Mary Smith,
Here,
and Tim Allen.
Here.
We have a full house tonight. That's wonderful. Agenda approval. Does anybody have anything to add to or change on the agenda? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda. Did we have anybody here for audience business?
I have not heard of anybody. If anybody is in the audience and wants to speak, just type in the chat and we'll let you talk.
I think there is that one person who already, is it
She said later, though.
later on a given agenda item or?
My
It's just
presumption
general.
would be yes, but
Okay.
yes, on an agenda item.
Okay, terrific.
So, seeing no one here for audience business, we will go on. The payables we have in front of us tonight are from August 21st through September 3rd, 2020. Any comments, questions? Okay. Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the payables from August 21st through September 3rd, 2020?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the payables from August 21st through September 3rd, 2020 as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the minutes of our last meeting, which was August 25th, 2020. Any comments, corrections, additions?
Page 2, there was no second that I see for the motion for Jim Noble Incorporated. I made the
Oh,
motion.
okay.
I don't know who did it.
I see what you're talking about.
We could just say Keith did it.
That's fine.
I can look it up and see who did it and add that.
Okay.
Say Jerry did it.
Jerry definitely didn't, so. So the only comment I had was under the discussion we had about Safe Built, just correcting a little bit of language. They didn't reduce their building permit services from 90% to 75. That was the reduction of the percentage of the fees that they take. They did reduce, or they changed that somewhat due to the fact that town staff is doing some of the permit issuance on the simpler permits. So just wanted that to be reflected. Anything else?
I make a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections, the August 25th minutes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 25th, 2020 regular meeting with the corrections discussed. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we have new and unfinished business. First on the agenda is a request from Donna Klein, who is the organizer for the Mayors and Commissioners Youth Awards ceremony. And as you all saw, the ceremony had to be postponed because of COVID. And they are going to hold the ceremony that they would have held in April later this month. And they generally do come to us for requesting a donation if we can. And it's a very worthwhile program. I've been to 2 of the awards ceremonies so far, and it's really heartwarming to see how these kids have developed resiliency and gotten through a lot of difficult situations in their personal lives to and rise above circumstances that are really, really difficult. So I did put a request out to Mary. Did you get that voicemail message, Mary Sims?
I did not.
Oh,
When did
okay.
you leave it?
This afternoon.
I left at 4:30 today. I don't know
Okay,
if it was-
okay. If I remember correctly, the last several years, we have voted to donate $500 to this very worthy cause. I don't believe we ever approved more than that. Is that your recollection?
2 years ago, I believe we did 1,000, 2 or 3 years ago. But just most recently, I think last year was just 500.
Okay. Okay. So, and as you noticed in the letter, there is one young person from Georgetown who has been nominated for this award. So I think it's a good idea. Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
I would support making a donation again this year.
I'd second that.
I'll third it.
Fourth.
All in favor?
Okay, well,
Yeah, thumbs up.
let's give it an amount just so that we're not.
500.
Yes.
Everybody in favor of
Yeah,
500?
5.
Okay. And so Mary made the motion, John seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Marvelous, thank you. Next, we have some equipment needs at our wastewater treatment plant. Is Ryan here, or are you going to present for him, Kent?
Yes, I guess I will.
Okay.
Ryan was going to be here, but this is a replacement of an air compressor on the screw air compressor with a dryer. It serves the biosolids sludge removal and the sand filter that leads to the mixing tank at the wastewater treatment plant, or basically the finished water that heads out from the wastewater treatment plant to the creek. This is one of two compressors. This one has been used for since 2009, has 56,000 hours has on it. So it is reached its life expectancy. Instead of fixing it and then having something else on it go wrong, this is just a proposal to replace it. It would end up costing about $2,000 to $3,000 to fix it, to repair it. And he does have enough budgeted for maintenance equipment within the wastewater fund. So staff recommends approval for replacement and stand for questions. Or sit for questions.
what is the life expectancy of one of these? I mean, 56,000 hours means nothing to me without, I mean, I'm
Well,
opposed.
it lasted 11 years. I would say, 5 to 8 years, you're doing pretty good on these air compressors.
So is there any
That's a little
residual or scrap value with this?
We'll have a couple of parts that we'll be able to use on it, but it's not where you turn in and it's refurbished like you do with alternators or other types of things.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, there is a recommended motion in your packet.
Go, Rob.
I move to approve the purchase of the screw compressor with the dryer from McGee Company for the amount of $9,105 and authorize the town staff to sign the proposal.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the screw compressor. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. We are on to our third item, which is the discussion on the closure of 6th Street, whether to continue or suspend. And so I think we probably have several folks from the public who have tuned in to give us some comments. And we also received several written comments, which will go into record. So I think we'll open it up for public comment first. And is that Deanna?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, is this the?
No, this isn't my subject. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
If you would like to
misunderstood.
roll off the top of my head comment, however, I think it needs to go away.
Okay, we'll bring you back when it's, just let me know what agenda item you want to speak about and I'll move you back. Sorry about that.
So who do we have?
I'm not showing anybody in the audience right now that wants to
Okay.
talk. If any of y'all do, just please type your name in the chat.
Please. Okay. All righty. Well, we can bring anybody on that tunes in later. So I hope everybody had a chance to read the written comments that were provided. And I guess I would like to just toss out there that I appreciate the fact that they did go out and chat with each other and figure out who's for it continuing and who's against it continuing. By my count, there were 14 people that signed the letter that were against the continuation of the closure. However, I guess I was a little bit confused by the fact that Mark Graybill from End of the Line was on the list to open things back up, but then he also provided an email that said, or modify it so that it would be partially open, which kind of goes back towards the keeping some of it. So, and then I also wanted to point out, we had written comments from somebody who owns 3 shops along 6th Street, and plus another business owner on 6th Street who was in favor of it. So 4 that were very opposed or very supportive of it, I'm sorry. 1 that was the End of the Line was in favor of maybe modifying it. And then we also had, by my count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other businesses that we didn't receive any comment on it from. So I don't want to give those any weight one way or the other, but it does remain that 7 didn't give us a comment. So I guess the factors that I pulled out to kind of figure into our decision-making process are that hopefully the snow hasn't really done in the aspen, and we'll still get some good color, which could lead to some pretty good tourism and decent sized crowds, at least through the end of September, possibly into the early part of October. Carolyn Hone said that she was organizing, or actually not she, but the library is doing the mountain jams, and they had several more lined up to perform in late September and possibly into early October, which means you kind of need more space for that. There are people who express concerns about the fact that the scaffolding in front of Nysel and Anderson has meant that a lot of people are going around it, not through it. There is a path through it, but lot of people are going around it and going into the street to go around it. So there is that. I guess I was a little bit confused to see Lucha Cantina on the opposed to continuing the closure, since their food truck is in there, and I don't know where they would plan to park their food truck if we open things back up. So you have some news on that, Kent?
Yeah, I talked with Nick about that already. If it was open back up, we'd turn his food truck around to face Library Park. And so the opening, or where people would access to the truck, would be, it'd still be in his parking space. He'd just be turned around and facing Library Park. So
Okay. So
I just
that-
said it was a possibility. I said if that
Okay.
happened, that would be something we could do, is leave him in the parking space where he's at, but not facing towards the middle of the street, but facing,
the sidewalk.
yeah, facing the
Okay.
sidewalk.
Okay, okay. But that kind of,
Just the
it
sidewalk.
could, yeah, cause a lot of congestion on that sidewalk, and yeah, okay. I wasn't sure what the plan was there. And I guess I will put a plug in for we're still not out of this pandemic, and we still need to be conscientious and vigilant about protecting our businesses. And I realize that there are quite a few that perceive that the closure of the street for pedestrian only traffic has been a factor in a reduction in their sales. And I would not argue that one little bit, but I also would put out there that if we have to go back to completely shut down, we all know that's going to put a big dent in their sales. And we're still needing to protect the variances that are still out there for the train to be able to operate. And the schools have opened, and we need to be sure that our population is kept safe, so that the schools can stay open. And the ski area is getting ready to try and reopen, and I still see a need, especially through the leaf peeping season, for having that extra space. Perhaps not every day, but you never know what day you're going to need it on. So I'm in favor of keeping it closed to vehicle traffic. I think it's been a success, because we can, according to the public health director here in the county, none of the new cases of COVID have been able to be traced back to tourism. They're all local residents going out of state or down to the metro area or elsewhere, and having contact with folks, and then finding out later that the folks they had contact with had tested positive later, then they test positive. And I think our pedestrian mall has been a success in that respect. So I yield the floor to others who would like to go next. Oh, it looks like Cora Lou is in the audience. Why don't we have her speak? Does she need to unmute herself?
I think I'm okay. Am I okay now?
Okay, we can hear you now, Corlu.
Okay, thank you. Today was a very difficult day downtown. I had 3 people come in the store for the entire day. And I just tried to get some things out of my store, and it's rather difficult to be carrying across downtown and around and about. I would say that we've had some decent days. People don't seem to be afraid of the framework that's on the front of of the store, the construction bean. That's from the state that we've gotten that. We have a national, we have a state, I can't even think, I'm getting so confused. But anyway, the state is supporting us on that. And so I just feel as though we need to have some openness there. If any of you are on the corner, when people come down Guanella Pass, they don't find a place to park. I came down yesterday morning from my home and came down the ramp. I had 5 cars that had come down from the railroad. They all turned off and went out of town. So I think we need to have some more opening somewhere for people to come. And I think we're losing business. I think we're losing interest in our town, except I'll tell you what, Rose Street is a real, during leaf season, it's bumper to bumper and people are just leaving town. I'm sorry, I'm not for all of it. It's worked fairly well, but I would also like to see each one of you people come into our shops downtown and see how we are doing. I have not seen one of the council people walk into the shop and say, how are things going?
I was there Saturday night.
Saturday night, who's Saturday night? Who's that?
Rob.
Rob, okay. Yeah, you were there Saturday night and made a lot of noise. And that was about it. You didn't ask how we were doing. You didn't even try to say, how are things going? And so that was the one time out of this whole time that we've had one person there from the council. So I'm very disappointed in all of you. Having been on the council myself, I know it's a difficult job, but I think you have to reach out and talk to people. I would like to see the gates open partially, and for sure, partially for sure. And I would like to see people, I know Shop International, we're almost ready to close their doors. And so I just think you have to think of keeping, what would happen if 5 shops downtown closed their doors and said we were it? Then you would have no commercial being coming into town, no reason. So think of that too. We can all be careful. I've had everybody who walked in the store, I haven't had to ask anybody to put on a mask. People are very aware of that. And you talk about the children and you wonder how the school is going. Come downtown and see how all of them are playing together and going up and down the street. They're having a great time. There's no distancing with them. They are good about wearing their masks, but we have lots of kids downtown playing. So that's my feelings. I just hope that we can have some more openness. Perhaps even if you want to have it blocked off in front of our store. But I think the Shop International would like to have the people coming down off the Loop Drive and be able to come into town. And parking is a disaster. I will tell you that. And I have not seen any one of you downtown checking this out. So I'm really disappointed there, having been on the board myself. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome.
I hope you make some good decisions for all of us, for both sides.
Okay, thank you. All right. So who would like to start off? Kent?
I will mention 2 things. One is you had mentioned the public health director. I did speak to him this afternoon. And he said it's not required as far as pedestrian areas, although it is encouraged, it does help businesses to handle overflow with nice weather. Of course, today is not one of those days. But the pedestrians are far better than car congested areas as far as, you know, the situation in total. But that was his comment. And his main comment was it's just adaptation, just trying to adapt. And I said, you know, there's a lot of businesses that have a lot of different opinions about it. So we have quite a few businesses that are not in favor of continuing. The other thing is I did hear from last week from the promotions chairman, Steve Skulski, and then he said he had spoken with a couple others because he was out on the 6th Street for a couple hours last Wednesday afternoon because of an event, Ford versus Ferrari event, and he was there with a couple car owners. And he just was there standing for a couple hours. And then after that, he called the next day and was basically said he had changed his opinion about continuing it. That his opinion was, and he told me I could speak on what he said, but that he was just need to get more life within it. He would like to see the businesses participate more and to have more of a more action or more things done with the mall itself, with the pedestrian area itself. But he changed his opinion as far as whether to continue or not, and he was not in favor of continuing it as much as he was earlier. So even before on the promotions meeting on Wednesday morning, there was pretty well, most of the business owners that were there mentioned they would like to see it continue through leaf season. But by Wednesday afternoon and by what he took stock of that day, then he called me and he said something that was opposite of what I heard on Wednesday morning. So that's what I heard from Steve. And I'm sure there would be a difference opinion, and Paul just wrote in the chat amongst the members of the board regarding it. And I think there's competing values. There's a value of keeping enough space and enough distance for folks, but keeping the business to keep coming for the 6th Street merchants, the ones who are actually on that area or in that area. And so there's competing values, and it's how long it's going to continue. And I would say that it was good to have this. We've learned some things from it, and we will learn some more things about how to make it happen again in the future, whether it's for special events or for a longer time period if we need to be. So I would just plug that in, that this isn't just a one shot and done. I think we've learned some things. It's worked well in some respects, and there's some things that haven't worked as well for the business owners.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. So go ahead, Mary.
I want to address the business owners, the merchants downtown, and let you know that this is a tough position for us all to be in, because not only are we trying to add the opportunity for the businesses to be successful during COVID, but I feel a duty to protect people that are coming to the community, as well as everyone here in the community, from them if they're carrying something in, and no one is going to know who that person is type situation. You know, I know we made reference to Dr. Ryan and his comments regarding this, but I just want to read for the record that from a release that they made in late August, and Lynette, you made reference to this, where, and I'm quoting from him, Clear Creek continues to have relatively low case numbers because of community-wide diligence in following the science-based disease prevention strategies of social distancing, mask wearing, and hand washing. And then he goes on to say, following these basic hygiene rules is our best defense against spreading COVID. As other viruses, as school opens, our summer tourist season comes to a close with the influx of Labor Day holiday visitors, and as flu season begins. And you know, we're certainly not past any of that. You know, we are welcoming, hopefully, the leaf season tourists and, you know, what they can bring to the community. And again, we need to protect, we need to offer the protection for everyone who is here. I think one of the merchants that sent in the letter, Dana Abrahamson, who owns 3 shops in town, had a lot of good points in that if the merchants know that the pedestrian mall is going to stay open, it's to their, you know, value to continue to invest in spreading out a little bit onto the street and providing different things. She was, you know, bringing in some music over the next 3 weekends or, 3 out of the next 4 weekends. And I too was surprised when Lucha signed that petition petition to reopen 6th Street, because I think turning their truck doesn't help the whole social distancing aspect, especially if we have entertainment going on in Library Park and we need to have that 25-foot barrier from the performers to the audience, and then you've got people, successfully lining up for luchas. This is all, it's a crapshoot, and we don't know how many people would be coming into Georgetown anyway. I agree, and if Coralie, if you're listening, or anyone else, yes, people drive down 6th Street and there's an attraction to the merchants, which might make them say, oh, let's park and find a place and walk around a little bit. And they don't have that opportunity. But for the limited amount of parking spaces on 6th Street, then we're always going, we know we have parking situations. I still want to beat us up as a town, because I think we could do a lot better with making it a more inviting mall. And I think it was horrible that it looked as crappy as it did this past weekend with all that construction tape and barriers up. I was terribly disappointed and disappointed in myself that, we didn't do something better. But I'm going to continue to support that we keep 6th Street as a pedestrian mall for the time being, and to continue on. I think it's in the best interest of everyone to continue, that it's an open space area, and people are going to just continue to get used to it. We're not the only ones in Colorado that have, barricaded streets and marked detours so that people can't drive down the main drag. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Tim, are you wanting to say something?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say that I am strongly in favor of closing the pedestrian mall and opening the road back up. I feel that we need to support the majority of business owners down there that have sent in this petition to have it opened up. And I think that from what I've heard about the pedestrian mall, I think it's getting too much credit. Every time I went down there, it didn't look like it was very busy to me, but of course, I didn't go down there maybe through entertainment time or something like that. But yeah, I'm totally in favor of closing the pedestrian part and opening it back up to traffic.
I would agree with Tim. I think we really gave it a fair shot. And those that were opposed initially are still opposed, and we need to give that some credence. So I'm in favor of opening it back up to traffic.
Okay. John, you ready?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with opening it up. I think that the health concerns are still there. I mean, I'm sorry for the businesses and whatnot, but I really don't want to have the COVID thing come in and just shut us down completely. And that's just my feeling.
Okay.
I'd
Paul?
like to make a comment.
Yes, please.
I go downtown at least 5 days a week walking my dogs. That's why I cannot go into business and talk to the people, but every time I go down there, it looks like people are enjoying it. The picnic tables are being used. And I don't know if I agree with some of these businesses that they say that they're losing business just because it's closed down in traffic. As most of you know, I run the Capital Prize Gold Mine, and we had a record year this year. Most of our tours were at capacity. through mid-July all the way through August. And half of Texas and half of Florida is in our county. And you keep hearing in the news, those are hotspot states. My opinion is it's just a matter of time before something breaks out. And I'm in favor to keep it open for the health and safety concerns.
Okay. And Rob?
Everybody else said my points already.
Okay. Okay. So, any other comments from our audience? Okay, we did have,
Do you see Cora Lou
Excuse
wants
me.
to talk again?
Yeah, Coralie wants to talk again. One sec, let me promote her.
okay, I was going, in the meantime,
Or-
I was going to read, do I have? We had a chat comment from Paul Boat. He wanted to say that the Promotions Commission is still in favor of the pedestrian mall. Kevin Kuharik, Paul Boat, Amanda Cooper are in favor. We do agree that the participation level needs to be higher. Steve is one voting member, just one. And then Steve Skalsky said he could speak if we wanted him to, but he said Kent summarized his the conversation that they had together quite well, and he didn't have anything really further to add. Kevin Kuharik gave us a comment that public health and safety should always be put first. And Kent mentioned that Dr. Ryan did make a comment that the pedestrian mall encourages meandering from store to store instead of driving by and then stopping. So, yes, Corlu.
Thank you. I just wanted to add a couple of things. As far as our store, it's really amazing how people are very careful. They come in, they're masked, they go on one side of the store, and it'll be just a family. If it's two people, it's just two people. There's never more than two different groups in the store, and they're usually just two at a time. And we have not done that. They have done it themselves. The people walk in, if they stand and they see that there are too many people or that it's overloaded, they don't come in until those people leave. So we really have one group of people or one set of people on one side and maybe one person on the other side. It's kind of interesting watching how people do monitor themselves. And we've never had to say out or anything of that nature. I'm just very pleased with people.
Okay.
As far as Amanda, she does not have a business up there on 6th Street. Hers is down at the roundabout. Paul Boat has never walked down 6th Street as far as I'm concerned and has put his nose into our store. Paul is not involved with any business on 6th Street. Kevin, they're only open 3 days a week up at the hotel. And many of us are open 7 days, but I think people have monitored themselves very, very well. And I'm pleased with the people that we've had. And I do think that we're missing out on some people. Maybe we're getting more because they can park somewhere, but the parking is difficult. It really is. I mean, like today, I had 3 people in the store, 3 customers.
Well,
And that's
today it
because-
snowed all day,
No, I know,
Corlu.
it's
I mean,
snowed.
please.
No, I'm just saying we had 3. Had we had the mall, the street open, then we may have had more, we may not have. But
May
I
not.
just want to tell you that I really believe people have really been concerned on how they enter the businesses. I will tell you that.
Okay, and I really appreciate that comment, and I'm glad to hear that, but that doesn't always address what happens out in the street and people passing each other, going to and fro. it can be a very different scenario out in the street. The sidewalks are not that wide. And when people go out of a store, they quite often take their masks off. And because you can do that outside, and then you have to be a lot more socially distanced. So I do appreciate you sharing that experience of what you observed in the store, but this is a lot about how the behavior occurs and how people interact or allow themselves space out in the street, not in the shops. So
I don't know if I can speak anymore or not.
go ahead.
Yes, it's still, thank you very much. It's very interesting. Since not too many of you have been down monitoring what is happening, people are very good about that. And I will say also, there are sometimes when you only have 9 people on the whole street of 2 blocks. And I do have a friend that has counted the people at different times during the day, and never have we been overflowing. I mean, there's a distance all the time between groups. I think you all should maybe monitor just a very short hour sometime and just come down and see. I think people have been very, very careful. And I also am just rather disappointed in all the tents that we're having. I think that the tenting is not Georgetown. And I think some of the goods that are being sold are not Georgetown, or they're kind of Chinese, Japanese trinkets. There's some homemade things, but I'm very disappointed. I hate to have, we don't have to be like other towns. After all, we're a National Historic Landmark District, and there are only 3 of us in the whole state of Colorado.
Okay.
So I think we have to think of that too. We get a lot of money because of that.
All right. Thank you. I would put a comment out there that you may not have noticed when some of us were downtown, but I don't think you can make a statement that is actually accurate that says we never go, none of us who are serving on the board ever go downtown, because it's not true of myself, and I know it's not true of everyone. So
well, I apologize on that, but the one thing I will say, I think that they need to make themselves known when they come into a business and say, hi, we're just seeing how things are going.
Okay.
And I have not had one person do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynette?
Yeah.
Just a point of
Go ahead, Jerry.
just a point of clarification of the what's referred to as opening and closing.
Yeah.
It might be confusing to some of the people who are listening. I know the board members know what they're talking about, but for clarity, if we are opening the road back up to traffic, that's opening it. And as I kind of count noses, Tim, for example, is in favor of that. If the road is continued to be closed and be a pedestrian mall, that was the opposite view. And Mary, among others, is supportive of that. So the open is cars and the closed is no cars. I know the board members know that, but I think maybe some of the persons attending might be confused by the terminology. Tim, I'm sorry I stepped on you there.
Oh, no, I don't know if I stepped on you, but I just wanted to make a point real quick about one of the things that Cora Lou said. And she said that somebody she knows has been taking a count down there, and there's been not very many people down there. And that's what I've seen when I've been down there too. So I don't think it's really helping all that much. I just think that it hurts these majority of businesses more than it would help keep COVID out of town.
Okay. Appreciate that. Looks like maybe Paul Boat would like to speak. Is that correct?
Hi, thank you very much for your time. I just want to say thank you for what you're taking into consideration, that you're taking all these things into consideration, and to remember that we all remember that you're volunteers just like everybody on the promotions commission. And I may not have a 6th Street. Kevin certainly is a 6th Street business. I am down there, by the way, all the time, multiple times during the week, walking down the street. And I do frequent Lucha, and I was there yesterday, and the street was packed, and we had a lot of people there for the music, but they were able to flow out into the street. And the business that I'm in, and some of my volunteer activities, because I do, I am on the library boards, which is a 6th Street business as well. So I am, we are working on trying to help keep a live atmosphere. And I have noticed that the people who are participating in the closure are doing better with it. And I would like to say that today at the visitor center, I think we had 3 sales and very few people because it was a snow day. And that was there, and there's no closure at the visitor center. The other thing, but I just want to thank you for that. And I just want to remind everybody that the reason that this was done was for health and safety. It is something that we were pursuing, and some of us feel very strongly about for health and safety. I volunteer on the promotions commission, not to promote the visitor center or the heritage center or Kevin's business or specific business. I am interested in all of the towns succeeding. I give my time because I am interested in all of the towns succeeding. And the only thing that I do agree with Steve, that I wish more people participated in the closure while it's there, to take advantage of shifting their market and shifting their business model so that they can, during a recession and a pandemic, so that they can try to increase their sales levels, because it's very difficult. Kevin did take advantage of it in his business, and I know I can speak for him here. He did just put out a rack and a couple things out there, and it's actually led to quite a bit. Even though he's had reduced tour money, he's increased his level of sales in his gift shop. So that's been beneficial to him. It's tough for all of us right now, and I thank you for taking on these difficult decisions as a body. And just want to remind everybody that we are volunteers on the promotions commission, and we are not volunteers for specific stores. Or just because we're not on 6th Street doesn't mean that we're doing this specifically for us. We're doing it for the whole town. That's why we're volunteering. We are trying to prevent a shutdown for the whole town. We want to keep all of us operating, because if you want to kill a business, shut us down again, and that will kill everybody's business. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you again on 6th Street, probably tomorrow or Friday, when I go and have lunch with my husband, like I do every week. Take care.
Thank you.
Where does he go to lunch?
So, anybody have anything further to say from the board?
I got 2 more cents to throw in here.
All right.
I was reminded that a week or so ago, Dr. Ryan attended a business meeting for the Rotary Club, and one of the comments that he made to the attendees there was that one of the best things that Georgetown and Idaho Springs could do would be to make the street shut down for pedestrian or open just to pedestrians a permanent situation under the current situation, under the current COVID situation.
Okay. So, I guess my thought was, well, would anybody like to make a motion one way or the other? Mary?
I move that we continue the pedestrian mall for 6th Street, which requires no vehicle traffic through the end of 2020, which would take us through the holiday season.
I'll second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to continue the closure of 6th Street to vehicle traffic so that it remains a pedestrian mall through the end of the year 2020. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
I,
That's 4 yeses. Any opposed?
Yep.
I vote no.
Okay. So it was four in favor of the vote and 2 opposed. So the motion passes. Thank you very much for your consideration. Okay. Next on our agenda is a proposal Kent has put together for, wait a minute. We have things backwards. On the agenda, it says personnel policies, but the next thing in our packets was Strauss Park. So
Sorry about that. I numbered them wrong.
that's okay.
Pardon me.
So no worries. So let's go ahead, since we're following an agenda, let's go ahead and find the oh, okay. I think I'm squared away here. Sorry about the confusion. Okay, so next we have a proposal for updating the town's handbook, personnel policy handbook. And Kent has, I'll let him present.
Please, Judge Kelsey and members of the board, we did include in the budget for 2020 update to the personnel policies. Did have a proposal at the end of February, but was unable to present it because of things that came apart at that time. Didn't know where we were going. That's probably the same comment I'll make for over the next 3 items. So we held off on this until now. It is a small proposal, but it's for $5,000. It's with Investigations Law Group, ILC, or LLC, and they do these for various towns. They also do personnel investigations and other types of things for towns. So, and in addition, once they've completed it, it will be reviewed by the town attorney's office for different types of legal things from their perspective. And hopefully we get a update to the personnel policies, which is sorely needed. So, Jerry, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to this.
Just this, the update really is needed. It's a pretty old set of policies. Over the years, I've been asked to create little Band-Aids for certain things, but there's never been a good comprehensive review and rewrite, frankly, and the law continues to change. And I always worry that the Band-Aid I'm doing might solve the problem right in front of me that's been identified for me to fix, but it's not a fundamental rewrite. So that's point one. Point two is I'm familiar with this company. I've used them for other cities that I represent, not for writing personnel policies, but for the investigations that Kent mentioned. They're associated with a law firm that does personnel work, that I've actually used that law firm on the kind of the other side of their business model for some personnel matters for other clients. So they're a really solid group. They know what they're doing. And I will be happy to review what they produce if the board approves them. But my job will be not that hard because they're good at what they do.
So anybody have any questions? John?
I think this is probably the bonehead question, but budget impacts, if any, the 28 and the $20,000. Were we planning on this costing $20,000 and it only cost $5,000?
We had just estimated 20. We didn't really have a good solid number for that. And it could have ended up that, 15 to 20 range. This is for 5. So
Awesome.
And just as Kent pointed out to me, after this firm is ready with their proposed revisions to the personnel policy handbook, then Jerry will take over and do his review from a legal perspective. So there will be additional costs, but not to this company for what they do. So, okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay. So, anybody else have any questions, comments? There is a recommended motion in the packet if anybody would like to make it.
I'm unmuted. I move to approve the proposal with Investigations Law Group LLC to update the Town of Georgetown Employee Handbook and authorize the police judge to sign.
Do you
Second
want,
that.
do you want to put in the amount or?
Sure. Not to exceed $5,000.
And is that okay with your second, Rob?
Yes.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposal by Investigations Law Group to update our employee handbook for an amount not to exceed $5,000. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we move on to Strauss Park. Okay. And I go ahead and turn it over to you, Kent.
this is a contract modification for additional services for the Strauss Park Refresh Project from DHM Design. This was another one that was put on hold. We ended up at a point on their original contract, which was for 29,000 and change. And they provide in their memo, their updated memo, of all the additional stuff that they've done trying to get this project to a certain point. They've had extra meetings and additional input that is provided, and then we've added some 3D drawings at times to help people understand what it looks like and what are the various things with it.
Mhm.
The DRC has given only a conditional approval to the plans, but they want to see what the construction plans come out. So in order for any project regarding Strauss Park to move forward and for the decisions to be made, the construction plans need to be completed. There's only so much you can do at this point. We ended up at a point where the DRC they needed to see more. And
Right.
they needed to have the construction plans done so they could be additional explanations on a couple things that they were specifically asking about. So this proposal was prepared, but it was prepared in about May. And that was just the wrong time to move forward because we didn't know where our financial future for this year was going. We had set aside a certain amount of money for the Strauss Park Refresh Project in order to get this done. But we held off at that time. And I think I informed you guys at that time we were just holding off until we find out whether the financial situation is stabilized or not. Right now, the financial situation is stable. And that's why the staff is bringing this to you tonight for this particular proposal. And they present it they have a breakdown of their fees, and they also have all their subcontractors involved as far as their proposal. Now, I know some of it is an awful small print, I wish it could be larger print for you all, but it basically is 35,000 on the deliverables. And then they have an addendum regarding the shelters themselves. And that was only if we would ever want to split that out with a different firm. For right now, I would want the board to approve this. And if it becomes a situation that we need to change that for, was looking at possibly using a local firm for just the shelters themselves in order to meet a couple things that DRC is really, that's really the bone of contention for the entire drawings at this point, is the shelters themselves.
Okay.
So that was just an idea, and it asked them back in May if that was a possibility, and they left that in as far as an addendum. If it needed to, it's easy enough to split out, but I'm not asking that for tonight. I'm asking for approval of this, and understand that staff may come back and say, we may want to switch if it becomes a real possibility. I did have starting a little bit of a conversation, but I didn't have enough of a conversation with the local firm to be able to do that as far as the shelters themselves, which is 18,000. But that's the proposal. In order to go at least on one step forward, it may involve 2 steps back after we get going on it, but it's another step or 2 that needs to be taken on the Strauss Park project. So stand for questions.
So let me go first. So if I'm understanding the numbers correctly, would we be trying to cover both the 35,445 plus the 18,795?
Yeah, the total project for designing the whole park would be
Okay.
54,100 and something.
Okay.
I should have added those 2 together.
I will do so. And any questions from the board? I believe this is the topic that Deanne wanted to comment on. So would you like to speak now, Deanne?
Is it coming over verbally?
Yes, we
Oh,
can hear
good.
you.
Do I need to hold my press bar down? Because I know sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
It looks like you are unmuted, so well, now you're muted back
Okay,
again.
that
So
means I do need to hold it down.
okay.
This needs to be voted down. There hasn't been enough thought put to the Georgetown National Historic District designation. They have 8 criteria that, well, from all of the designs I've seen so far, the company you have proposing it has not taken into account historic anything. They, in fact, I was really insulted with that stupid Victorian garden thing that he came up with. But anyway, you have to think of a historic landmark district somewhat similar to a homeowners association. They have 8 criteria that they insist on things being done. The first of which is historic integrity, and that's the ability for a property to convey its historical association.
You're muted again. Deanne, you're mute.
Sorry about that. I left up on the bar and it automatically clicked it back into mute. The second one is location, the actual location of a historic property complemented by its setting is particularly important in recapturing the sense of historic events and purposes.
You keep going mute.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to go through the list that I have here of the criteria that they want, all of which has not been met by, you know, the things in this, if the property has been rehabilitated, the historic materials and significant
You're cutting in and out now.
count anymore. Our whole claim to fame is the historicalness of being one of the.
I'm sorry, Deanne, you're cutting in and out,
It
so
has-
we're only catching every few words. Can't hear you. Sorry. Okay.
It just dumped me for some strange reason. I don't
And
know.
it brought you back.
Well, yeah, finally. There's workmanship has to do with it looking in sync with how it has always been. That's being completely not paid any attention to. Feeling is the aesthetic and historic that
I'm sorry, Deanne, it's really cutting out on you. Can't
Can you
hear
hear
you.
me?
No, well, just when you said, can you hear me? We
Okay.
could, but everything before that, we couldn't.
Okay, the last item is called association. The property retains its association of its place where an event or activity occurred and is sufficiently intact to convey that relationship. Like feeling association requires the presence of physical features that convey a property's historic character. Presented something that's far too modern, way too zoomy. The materials we argued over at a meeting several months ago, and you moved a little bit on sticking a couple posts up instead of having it look all plastic, but it isn't historic enough. It's gonna screw up all of Georgetown's ambiance. It's right square downtown, and it's gonna look, I mean, right now, we have that mess down by the lake that looks like Breckenridge, and we don't want it moving into the historic area, which is exactly what changing this, the way those drawings that the guy has presented to us, it just is wrong. It doesn't fit in. It needs to have more thought put into it, and we need to get a different, I don't know if that guy's an architect or a planner or whatever he is, but he's wrong, and he's gonna ruin the way Georgetown is perceived. And back in amongst some of the criteria points, it says that if it has been rebuilt, it's not okay. It has to, it's one thing to do some refurbishing to bring like electric up to code and stuff like that, but it can't be changed as much as that is asking for. And I'll sit down and shut up for a bit.
Okay, thank you for your comments. So, yes, John.
Doesn't the DRC take into consideration all this? Isn't that kind of their place?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
they have.
And what did they say about all this?
There was quite a few conversations, and they've made definite changes to what the materials are going to, what they foresee as the materials being used for the shelter. And there's not, that's why it is not approved all the way, is they want to see it. They are still hesitant, but they gave a conditional approval. They were okay with several items of the design, and they're the ones that There was lots of public comment taken, and Deanne was there as well as several others, but it's also, and that was pointed out in the meetings, is what this is as well is something that was put in the late 60s. It was not put in at the origin of Georgetown. So it is, and how to replace it, how to make it work better, make it safer with the electrical and with the other things that are involved with it, and to round out the park. But that's why they gave a conditional certificate of appropriateness. And they took many of those comments to heart and asked a lot of questions regarding the designer. But at this point, and it could be refused, and let's just start over with the whole thing. And I'm sure there's some folks that would like that, but it was just, with this design group, as far as what they're going to produce and provide, that will allow to at least the DRC to make still make a decision on the end. Now that may be dollars towards this project, and they may be asked to do a couple different things once those final construction documents are presented, but it still needs to go back to the DRC. Starting back at square one with another group, a lot of people take this park to heart. This is a special park for a lot of people in Georgetown. I understand that, but there is not a consensus amongst all those people. They have a general idea, but they have that there are 20 items that everybody agrees to. Is no, I sat through every single meeting and every single public meeting, and that is not the case. There is not a complete consensus where everybody agrees on every article within the design. And if we started over, I don't think it would be that way again. But it is a good point at this point to say, no, we're not going to go forward. I would have to take 2 steps back as staff and go, where do we go from here? Because we cannot build on what we have currently. This is what it's going to take to be able to get to a point where we could build. But starting over basically says, we're not going to, this timeline I would like to see if we were going to do this project. And I can understand the angst and the concern regarding this park, because a lot of people provided input on this park. A lot of people provided input. So it's important, and it's important we do it right and not do it just haphazardly. But the schedule, if we were going to go forward with the design, is we get the design done during the winter here, the fall and winter, get the approvals done, and then look forward towards the beginning of next year. Can we, and that's what the park board put as their project, was to go forward with a construction plan for next year. If we're going to go back, then that obviously won't happen. The park board was in favor of let's put this in front and let's do this. Let's get going on it if we're going to go for it. If we're not going to go for it, and that's okay. I mean, we can work around that if that's the decision of the board. I think we really need to move on to a different project. Because this started a year and a half ago. I mean, with the public meetings in April, May of 2019. And we're only to this point, at this point. Now, some of it's a little bit of delay here this year because of other circumstances. But it's been a long process already. Just trying to meet the needs that people are requesting. That's part of the confusion for the architect too, is we've had to take 2 steps forward, 1 step back at various times because there's a different group saying, no, you need to do it this way. No, you need to do this. And there has been 2, 3 times where we've had to do that. So that's what we have at this point.
Okay. Yes, John.
I think at this point, I mean, I'd like to hear the other comments, but at this point, I would like to support our volunteer Parks and Rec board and their decision to move forward, and also use the DRC to get us in a place where we should be. And just, it seems like that we have those things in place, and I would support that.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a comment? Okay.
I do recognize Kevin's comment in the chat, Lynette, as far as it does give us an opportunity to recognize different contributors to this town.
Mhm.
And that's important, and
Yeah.
the diversity of this town.
Okay.
Is there, one thing I will say is I did not know what Kevin had just said about what the park is named after. Is there a plaque that might be able to further educate anybody, including myself, on how the name Strauss came apart or came around?
So I don't see why there couldn't be. I mean, a lot of our when we do these kinds of projects, part of it is informing the public of what's historical about this and what's the significance. So I don't see why we couldn't. Definitely add that to the list of things to maybe incorporate. I do see the importance of getting some construction ready plans together, and even if they end up needing to be modified because they don't get passed by DRC, will at least be that far. And DRC isn't the kind of organization that just says, nope, sorry, take them away. They don't work. They would give a lot of input on why it wasn't approved. So I think in order to get things further, we do need to have construction plans drawn up so that they can be presented to DRC so that we can get input and hopefully get this moving further along. Without the construction plans, it doesn't move. So.
I agree.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
There's another, oh,
Go ahead.
no, I agree with what you're saying. You know, I hate to spend money to find out that we're gonna have to adjust it and make some major changes if that's the case, but I think this gives DRC the opportunity to look at it, you know, with a very specific eye to detail on these. And, you know, like Ken said, we've been working on this for 1.5 years, and I recognize and welcome the opportunity to expand it to what Kevin Kuhar just shared with us. You know, it's just, we've got to nudge it a little bit forward so that we can really tear into it and see if it's the right thing for us to do there.
Okay. We do have another, some couple of comments that people would like to make. Let's take Linda Anderson first.
Actually, it's not Linda, it's Cora
Oh.
Luke on Linda's.
Okay,
I would just like to remind everybody that we are a National Historic Landmark District, and there are only 3 people in the state of Colorado who are National Historic Landmark District. And Georgetown is one of the 3. And we may be the only town. So consequently, we need to maintain our historic values.
Mhm.
I'm all for Strauss Park having some upgrading, but to have new plastic looking booths, I'm against. But first of all, back to Strauss. Mr. Strauss happened to own that land, and he gave it to the town, and that was why it was known as Strauss Park. There were buildings there that were torn down, along with our building that had been torn down when we put up our brick buildings. But that's where Strauss Park came from. But I really would like to have everybody not jump ahead so quickly and be sure and remind ourselves that we are a National Historic Landmark District. That's so important to maintain that in order to get the grants that we get to help us in our town. Thank you. But now I know that also there's one other person to comment too. And that's Deanne.
yes, I saw that.
Thank
I'm
you.
Getting to her, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, yes, Deanne, you had another comment?
I wanted to emphasize again that there are these 8 criteria that the National Historic Landmark designation means we have to function under. And the plans that I have seen do not fit in that. And I realize you're saying, well, let's give it to design review. We need to come up with something better. We need to find an architect who is actually a historic one, somebody that knows what they're doing. And there's a big difference. It's a specialized category. And it just, if this is allowed to go ahead as it is, not only will it cost $50-some thousand, it'll totally destroy the character of Georgetown. I don't know what the mechanisms are that the National Historic Districts can implement against us if that happens, but I'm sure going to start doing some research on it because this does not fit in with our character. It's not historic. It again, be fine down in Rhino, but not here.
Okay.
Please, let's get some more
So
plans.
just to clarify, Deanne, we're not approving plans at this point. We are approving the preparation of the plans because right now what we have are conceptual drawings, and DRC could not give us full approval on conceptual drawings. They needed full on prepared plans ready to go to construction before they can give any kind of public approval. So in order to get to that point, if we don't get to that point, we're still in a back and forth. We don't have anything to work with and we don't go anywhere. So at this point, we are not approving a set of plans. We are approving the preparation of a set of plans that can be taken to DRC, and DRC is our entity that protects our National Historic Landmark District. That's their purpose. So I guess I have a lot of confidence in the DRC to be able to do that for us.
I agree with you that the DRC is our next best breach again or block against this. But what I'm saying is if you have regulations that say everything needs to be printed in red and the thing you are now presenting to DRC is printed in blue, it's just foolishness and spinning wheels and wasting time.
Okay. Right now, we don't have anything printed. So I think we've heard your comments. I understand your concern, but we don't have any actual concrete anything we could take to DRC and get approval because they need the full set of plans. So I'm going to turn this back over to discussion to the board at this time. Thank you.
If there's still one more way to say it, there needs to be more than this set of plans because this set is wrong.
We don't have plans. Deanne, what I'm trying to convey to you is we are authorizing, what we are discussing tonight is a proposal to have plans prepared.
But everything
That's what the
he's
board is
shown us
considering right now.
wrong.
So
Shown
thank
us is
you
wrong.
very much. Okay, and just for the record, I did the math on the two figures that appear in the proposal, and the total comes to $54,240. If anybody would like to make the recommended motion or make a different motion.
I guess I'm unmuted again.
You are.
I move to approve the contract modification for additional services proposal from DHM Design and authorize the police judge to sign a contract not to exceed $54,240.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract modification for additional services for DHM Design. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, City Park and Whirland Park, tree removal and stump removal and tree planting.
There's 3 different forms for you as part of this cottonwood tree and stump removal. Tree planting, it's in City Park and also in Whirland Park. In City Park, there is removal of the last 2 cottonwood trees in City Park that are sickly and hollow. One of them is in the middle of Foster's Place. It will require a crane to get it removed from the middle, since not the town, people built around the cottonwood tree in Foster's Place. And then all the cottonwood trees remaining in City Park will be cleaned up and trimmed up and sprayed for health. There's 2 trees that would be coming down in Whirland Park that are very dead. I don't know how they can be sickly. I wrote sick, very dead and sickly. I don't know how you can be dead and sickly at the same time. But
Really sickly.
they're only mostly dead. But they are on the south side of the park. One is the remainder of the one that fell earlier this year and crashed through the fence on the south side of Whirland. And then all the trees in Whirland, which are also cottonwoods, will be trimmed and sprayed for health. That's the 2 main ones. There's one for $4,300 and one for $14,000. Those are the 2 main ones for Bear Creek. The one for City Park is the expensive one because you have the crane service that's needed to help get that removed. And then there's $1,200 for there for some good things as far as deep root and fertilizing trees. That's, since all 3 came kind of in a bunch, I included that with it, although it doesn't need to be. But the Parks Board did budget $15,000 for tree replacement, but with these a couple situations, removing the last 2 trees in City Park, and then the one that came down in Whirland Park caused some additional costs to come forward. So they're asking to have these approved by the Board of Selectmen so we can get these trees taken care of this year. And since we didn't, the total parks budget is still well within lines. There's just going to be more out of the tree line item within the parks budget, if the board so approves. stand for questions.
I just wanted to ask, I know the one in Strauss Park is a hurting buckaroo as well, and I know that's the tree lighting tree, but is that, I just didn't know if maybe the more trees, the more of a volume discount you might get.
Well, and it's on the backside of the memo. I did put on there that the Strauss Park tree is hurting as well. That both trees in Strauss Park are hurting.
Right.
But the main spruce tree it splits in two as it goes up. One side, the beetle kill has taken most of that side, is now spread to the other side. So we are going to have to remove that tree. What the park board would like to do is keep that, and they said the tree service agreed it could last. That still be used for the tree lighting this year. And then if the Strauss Park project goes forward, and I only say if because there's still more hurdles to get through. But whether it goes ahead or not, then next year we take that tree out. And then one option the tree service provided is the largest tree they have is that they can plant, and they'll do it with a tree spade, is a 24-foot, and it'll probably be 4 or 5 inch at least caliper tree. That they could replace that one. And it is time to replace it. It'll be much smaller than the current tree, but there's just no way of saving that tree. So
Is there any
unfortunately,
safety? I'm sorry. Is there
Go
any
ahead.
safety concern with putting up lights? Any safety concern to our personnel and putting up lights around Christmas time if it's
the tree service said no, it would still be okay, but there is extra concern, obviously, with it and the fire hazard that could come about. But the one side is not completely dead, and I'm not going to say mostly dead, but it's getting there. So
Yes, John.
It says, that it's spread to the library park. Should we talk to the library board about work that needs to happen, or have you already?
they've already talked with Libby, or the tree service, I think, made a contact with Libby.
Yeah.
Either Beth or the tree service already talked with Libby. So
Good. Okay, and I guess I just put a plug in for this particular company because they've done really good work with us the last few years. I've been really satisfied with the service they provided, and they don't leave untidy loose ends, piles of sawdust and stumps that were supposed to be taken out but then didn't get taken out. So they do very good work. So any other comments or questions? There is a recommended motion in the packet if anyone would like to make one.
Oh, come on, you guys.
I'll make it. Let me flip back to it.
Hooray.
I move to approve the proposals with Bear Creek Tree Service LLC for tree and stump removal in City Park, Worland Park, and authorize the police judge to sign the contract not to exceed,
2450,
thank you.
20450.
I'll second that.
450. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposals with Bear Creek Tree Service. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Next, we have information items. We have the monthly report from Safe Built. And I don't know if you can, I had a little bit of trouble just because it couldn't be all on one page. I had a little trouble going back and forth and fitting the whole graph together, but I thought I understood most of it, and Kent was gonna try and get some clarification on my question. Main one was, we've got a couple of different places where one-stop permits appear, and I just didn't understand the difference between them. So,
And I really think that's the life safety inspection. I haven't had 100%
Okay.
confirmation on that, but yeah.
okay. So, anybody have any other questions or comments on the report? Okay. And then we've got a gateway project change order. One thing I did notice on that change order, that the letter that we've got in our packet, they've got a county address in here. I don't know where they carried that from. To town of Georgetown, but then it's not our address in that letter.
Oh, yeah, it's the, yeah,
County.
it's the Clear Creek County. Well,
Yeah.
maybe I can submit it to Keith and see
Yeah,
what
let's
they say,
send him the
so.
bill.
Doubt he's gonna go for that, but you can try. So, go ahead.
It's just a small item at the end. I don't know, nobody caught the 25-mile-an-hour sign on the original plans, and then the rock at various places along it, we were just adding, it got added at the end for dressing up more than one area. There was multiple areas that needed to be dressed up. So,
You know, for $300, I'll put in the stop sign.
well,
I could use the
Yes.
$300 and I'll do a really good job.
Jerry can talk to you about the illegalities of that particular motion, but
So, but offer is appreciated. So,
Maybe he wants to volunteer to do it.
Yeah, you can volunteer.
you know,
so
why weren't you out there today, Jerry or Rob,
do
putting the
you,
sign up? So,
do you actually need, you don't really need a
No.
motion on this because of the amount. You just wanted to make us aware of it.
just making information. So
Great.
it's not a question at a future meeting.
Okay. And then COVID-19 emergency order update. I just wanted to make sure that our minutes reflect that there's still about a week left. No, not even. No, for the 11th is the deadline for submitting for the business assistance grant monies for this first round at least. So if any businesses have not and intend to, but have not yet submitted it, they need to do so by Friday. So any other updates to the COVID-19 response? Okay.
No.
All right. And then the census is still going on through the end of this month. And I think we're still gaining traction, but I would sure like to see Georgetown numbers jump, and I'm open to suggestions on how to make that happen. So.
Don't have so many
Okay.
RVOs.
You didn't like the gift card idea?
I think that also has some ethical drawbacks, perhaps, but thank you. So.
It looks like Cora Lou wants to make another comment. I don't know if that's all right with everybody.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to say to you, when you were saying there was no petition concerning the merchants and closing of 6th Street, there was a petition that was turned in regarding that.
Okay, you misunderstood what I said, because I said there was written comment, several merchants, 14 of them, in fact, had written.
How many?
Okay. I
About
didn't
11.
read it, but it will be part of the record for that agenda item, okay?
Okay, the only thing is that Mary mentions that she hadn't seen any other comments when she made her statement, and there were other comments.
I don't remember her making that
She said that-
statement.
yeah, She
so-
said, we have not heard from other businesses. And you never mentioned that there had been a petition signed by X number of.
I did right off the top.
I don't think they all heard and understood, because she said
So, I'm
there's been no
sorry.
other comments from other people.
I don't know what other businesses she might have been referring to. Mary, did you?
Are you talking Mary, me?
Yes, Mary, did you know that there had been a petition from about 10 businesses from downtown who said they wanted the street open?
I received the copy that Smokey sent out to us over the weekend, and then it was forwarded again to us by Jennifer this morning. And it included 2 articles that he shared with us. And then we also received additional correspondence from some additional merchants in favor of continuing the operation the way it is. So yes, I'm aware that, and I believe there were 14 signatures. In fact, Lynette even made reference to one business owner being of 3, and so yeah, I was well aware of that. But thanks, Carlo.
I just, I thought I heard a statement said you hadn't heard from any other business people, and that was my concern. Because
Oh,
you said-
no.
I made a comment that there were some businesses that are directly on 6th Street that had not commented, and there were approximate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I was counting that we hadn't gotten any comment from, but I didn't name them. And
That's
so
okay. I just, my understanding was you hadn't heard from others, and I
No,
didn't want you to realize
that was not correct.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm wondering about the snowplow tomorrow. Is it going to be around to help us clean off our streets so we can walk down the street? And the picnic tables? I mean, I'm just saying, those are things to consider about the snow. So thank you all.
Yes, it will.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Not here.
Anyone have anything else to bring before the board tonight? Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
So Mary made the motion to adjourn. Who seconded? Rob. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you all very much. It's 7:47.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Brad. Good night, Paul. Good night, Keith.
Good night.
Bye, John Boy.
Night, Mary. Night, Kent.
Thank you.
Have we talked about the used car lot that's illegally operating?